Good morning, guys. So today is Wednesday, December 9th, and we are starting a new book today, The Legend of the Blue Bonnet by Tommy DePaula. So we are on a new question, a new focusing question, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to watch the vocabulary video first before we do our lesson video. There we go.
Hello, second grade friends, and welcome back to Grade 2, Module 2 Vocabulary. I'm Mrs. Nowell. Today we're practicing vocabulary for Focusing Question Arc 4. Let's begin. Our first word is possession. Let's say possession. By looking at the icon, we can see a backpack. A backpack is something most of us own. Let's read the definition. The definition of possession is something that is owned by someone. Just like a backpack that you own. It's owned by you. It is your possession. Now, let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
La posesión significa una cosa que tiene alguien.
Fantastic. Let's practice reading the word possession in a sentence. Listen and follow along as I read it first. The girl's most valuable possession was her backpack. Now you try. Fantastic. Thank you for trying to read that sentence. Our next word is sacrifice. Let's say sacrifice. By looking at the icon, I can see somebody holding an umbrella over somebody else instead of holding it over themselves. Let's listen to the definition of sacrifice. Let's read it together. The definition of sacrifice is giving up something very important to you to benefit others. I appreciate somebody helping somebody else, making that sacrifice. Let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
El sacrificio es un sustantivo. Significa cuando se renuncia a algo que es muy importante para uno para beneficiar a otros.
Lovely. For this practice, I'll share a discussion question. I want you to discuss this question with someone nearby. After I read, pause the video and discuss the question. Please remember to use the sentence frame and the vocabularies you discuss. When the girl gives up her doll, she is making a sacrifice. Why does the girl sacrifice her doll? She sacrifices her doll because, okay, as you discuss with your partner, please use the sentence frame. She sacrifices her doll because. Pause the video now and share why the girl sacrifices her doll. I said she sacrifices her doll because she wants to save her tribe. Our last word is legend. Let's say legend. By looking at the icon, I can see a mermaid. Some people believe in mermaids even though we don't have proof that they exist. Let's read the definition. The definition of legend is a story that many people believe but which cannot be proven. So again, a lot of people believe in mermaids, but we haven't been able to prove that they live. Let's listen to the word and definition in Spanish.
La leyenda es un sustantivo. Significa una historia en la que muchos creen, pero que no puede probarse.
Let's practice reading the word legend in a sentence. Listen and follow along as I read it first. My grandpa told me the legend of a giant apple. The apple was so big that people lived inside it. Now, you try. Thank you for reading. To review, here are the 3 words we practiced today. Let's say them each one more time. I'll say them first and repeat after me. Possession, sacrifice, legend. Thank you. Please remember to use these words as much as you can in writing and in speaking. Thank you so much for learning with me today. And thank you for doing great things and using great vocabulary. See you next time.
That was only 3 of our vocabulary words. And remember, guys, the new vocabulary list for the Journey of a Pioneer and Legend of the Blue Book is already in your Google Classroom. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on our lesson.
Welcome back, powerful thinkers. I'm Susabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today, you'll need your journal and a pencil. So please pause here to gather what you need and just hit play when you're ready to continue. Today, we'll begin exploring a new text so we can learn even more about the early Americans. And we'll learn more about the lessons that they can teach all of us. This essential question or a big idea will continue to guide our thinking as we dive into a brand new text. Let's read this question together. What was life like in the West for early Americans? To narrow our focus even more, we'll also use this question to help us dive into the story. What life lesson can we learn from the story of Blue Bonnet? What do I notice and wonder about this text? Pause here to look closely at the cover and also the title on the cover. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
All right, so what do you guys notice about the cover? I mean, the first thing I notice is the teepees in the background, and this is obviously a Native American girl. So that makes me think that this story is going to be a Native American story. I see these flowers in the front and they're blue, so maybe those are blue bonnets. What else do you guys notice?
Since you are such an amazing observer, you probably noticed a new word in the title of this story, and that word is legend. Oh, and I love legends. Let's dig into what a legend is and how it's slightly different from your average story. A legend has certain characteristics. For example, a legend is usually passed on by word of mouth, which means it might not be written down on paper and that people tell each other the story or the legend. Another characteristic is it includes supernatural beings, which means the characters in the story are almost magical or have special talents. Another characteristic of a legend is it tries to explain a natural phenomena or occurrence. It's also usually associated with one person, and the legend will usually focus on that one character. Finally, it's told as if it was historical, but it's not. It's not factual. It's a made-up story. Legends are a lot of fun to read. So let's get started. Please pause here to set up your Notice and Wonder T-chart in your journal. And just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so in our journal yesterday, we wrote our focusing question task on page 75 and 76. Remember, if I said that if you did not use page 76, put a big X on it, because today we are on page 77. Okay, so on page 77, you need to write today's date at the top, 12/9, the title of the new book, Legend of the Blue Bonnet, and then Notice and Wonder. So if you need to pause your video right now to copy down what's on your screen, please do that, and then hit play when you are ready to move on. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you today's secret word, and I'm going to use it from part of our story. And the secret word for today is bluebonnet. All right, let's get back to our video.
I'll be reading the story all the way through. So please pause to jot down what you're noticing and what your wonder questions are. Remember to use the question words to begin your questions with. And because you're an independent learner, also remember you're the one in charge. You can pause as often as you need to jot, and also to scroll back to listen again or to view or look at something again. You're in charge. Ready? Here we go. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang. Tell us what we have done to anger you. End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums. And for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, "The shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill to listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do, so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plentiful, and the people will be rich again. As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather and the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. "The sun is setting," the runner called as he ran through the camp. "The shaman is returning." The people gathered in a circle, and the shaman spoke. "I have heard the words of the great spirits," he said. "The people have become selfish. For years, they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possession among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When this sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people." The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. "I'm sure it is not my new bow that the great spirits want," a warrior said. "Or my special blanket," a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except she who is alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. "You," she said, looking at the doll, "you are my most valued possession. It is you the great spirits want." And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept to wait. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep, except she who is alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. "Oh, great spirits," she who was alone said, "here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have from my family who died in this famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it." Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger. And before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east, the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of the morning sun woke her. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, "Jay, Jay, Jay." When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who is alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the great spirits. And as the people sang and danced their thanks to the great spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. And every spring, the great spirits remember the sacrifice of a little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land, now called Texas, with the beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. That's right, there's a check mark in the corner, and you know what that means. Your classroom teacher will take this opportunity to check in with you. Your classroom teacher will take a look at what you've noticed and also all the questions that you're wondering about. So please pause here if you'd like to go back and view this again so you can add more to your journal. There was so much to notice, and there are so many questions. And there might even be questions about words that are unknown right now. Jot those words down so you can discuss them with your classroom teacher. Just hit play when you're ready to wrap up our video lesson.
Okay, so what you're going to do in your journal, in your knowledge response journal on page 77, you are going to... You saw Caitlin's head. You're going to take a few minutes and you're going to think of some things that you noticed about the story and some things that you are wondering about the story. I would like you to have at least 2 notices and at least 2 wonders, okay? And you can go back, you can rewind the video and listen to the story again if you need to. That's fine, okay? So I'm going to give you, go ahead and pause the video. Take as much time as you need to do your notices and wonders, and then hit play when you are ready to continue. Okay, so I wrote down a few notices and wonders that I would like to share with you. So my first notice was that it said there's a drought, which means that there's no rain. And that kind of reminded me of what we've read about with the settlers and how there was no rain and they had the big great dust bowl. I also noticed that it said the buffalo run. So that makes me think maybe this wasn't that long ago, because remember we had President Roosevelt in the 1800s when he was trying to help preserve the buffalo. That was only 200 years ago. So maybe the story was around that same time. The things that I was wondering are, I wonder what is the feathered circle hanging on that pole? You guys see that? There's like a feather circle hanging on the pole. There's one inside the book. Oh, my book is ripped.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, you learn something new every day. That is very true. Here's a bigger picture of it. The feathered circle on the pole. So I wonder what that is. My next question was, who or what is a shaman? You guys ever heard that word before? A shaman? Not Charmin, the toilet paper. A shaman.
Charmin Ultra Strong.
Gosh, I'm trying to teach. Okay, and my last wonder was, why didn't anyone else volunteer to give up something that they love? Why did it have to be the little Indian girl? Like, why couldn't one of the adults give up something they loved? So those were my notices and my wonders. Remember, I wanted you to have at least 2 of each, okay? So you're going to take a picture of your page 77 and you're going to upload it for me today so I can see what you were noticing and what you were wondering. Okay, so let's get back to our video. We can get that all wrapped up.
There's so much that we can notice as we read The Legend of Bluebonnet, and there are so many questions that you must have. I can't wait to dive into this text even more with you. I will see you again very soon.
Okay, so that is the end of the video lesson today. So the only thing that you need to do for your classwork today is page 77. Make sure that you have 2 notices and 2 wonders, and you're going to take a photo with your Chromebook and upload it to me in the Google Classroom. All right, so that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed the new book. I love The Legend of the Bluebonnet. Such a good book. I will see you guys later this afternoon. Bye.